That little ditty we used to torment our teachers with when we were kids goes something like this. Onward, upward, Mary had a go. Day by day she tied it to a rope, till at length they got busty rope, and Miss Mary had to run behind it. We had a lot of fun with that, but do you actually know how beautiful these words are? Here's the Song of Guyana's Children by W. Hawley Bryant. Born in the land of the mighty Roraima, land of great rivers and far-stretching sea, so like the mountains, the sea, and the river, great, wide, and deep in our lives would we be. Onward, upward, may we ever go. Day by day in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana's sons and daughters can be. In the land of Kaijur, shining splendor, land of the palm tree, the croton and fern, we would possess all the virtues and graces, we all the glory of goodness would learn. Onward, upward, may we ever go, day by day in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana's sons and daughters can be. Born in the land where men sought El Dorado, land of the diamond.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Kellyan Mall, 162 Lamaha Street, in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins Firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins Firm.
Making the short video for send to you and the viewers and listeners. I'll know we punishing in Guyana. Punishing. Rice gone up, sugar gone up, flour gone up, castor living just gone up, gas gone up from 3,400 to 3,800. Real hungry days under this installed PPP government. Real hungry days we gone back to. Guyanese? Oh! Real hungry days. Real hungry days.
This is why you don't come Leroy party. Gravely right. Yeah, we bad. We need COVID-19 bus. Hold on.
I see you put up. I see you put up the man for your slide. I will play around. Sometimes you see your motherless. The man want to show you how wicked and tough. And the enemy back with the right crop. You are going to take it and I step on 50 man. Step on man. Dance, we are dance, man, I found out every man. I'll step on 50 man. Can you go say you're a 50 man?
Hey, guess what? No matter what we're going through, man, you can't be serious all the time, you know. You cannot be serious all the time. You got to do something. We're going through a heck of a time, not only in Guyana, but around the world. A heck of a time. The pandemic upon pandemic, right? Because the installed regime is already a pandemic that we have to deal with now. That is a pandemic that we have dealt with for 23 years. And now 1 year they've been back. And look at this pandemic. It's kind of like a tsunami, right? They're just flushing things out left, right, and center. And these are the people who claims that they believe in democracy. But look at what they're doing to that country. Look at how they're ruining that country. When you talk, they vex. But I tell you what, I just don't give a damn. They can vex how much they want to vex. That is their problem. Good evening to all, every single one of you. Aren't you guys kind of like surprised that you're not hearing anything about SOPs any longer? The SOPs are no longer relevant. Have you asked yourselves why the SOPs are no longer relevant to these catfish folks in the office of the president and other places? It's no longer relevant because it was used as a game for them. You know what I mean? Hey, what else is happening? Are you guys hungry tonight? I want you to be straight up with me, man. Are you guys hungry tonight? I have a guest. I'll be talking with her. A lot of you know who she is. A lot of you may want to be friends with her whenever it is necessary. You know what I mean? And a lot of you would want to stay far from her whenever it is necessary. I'll explain to you. It's my good friend. I really do like and appreciate her a lot. But there are some times I really want to keep my distance from her. I'll explain to you guys why. Look at that. Look at that. 2 pieces of chicken. 2 pieces of chicken. Let's get back to this chicken business, man. The chicken business was on my mind. It has been on my mind. It remains on my mind. And if Irfan or Jack Deere, they're listening, I want them to know that this is not acceptable to only go into communities, certain communities. And if you feel that you can entice people like Lemon and his entire family and all these other people in South, where is it? Other parts of Region 4, in Sapphire and all kind of things. I know what you guys did there. I know exactly. Read my chicken lips. I know exactly what you guys did there, Jack Deere and Irfan and all the other Jagabites. I know what you guys did there. You guys are playing the race cards, believing that if you put up 2 pieces of fried chicken, and you mention fried chicken, you're going to see how many. You're going to see them. You're going to see them people running out from Agricola. You're going to see them running out from Sapphire. You're going to see them running out from other parts of Region 4 in their numbers so that their kids can be vaccinated. All because you're enticing them with 2 pieces of chicken. 2 pieces of chicken. 2 pieces of chicken. And the taxpayers are paying for this, you know, because when the company says that they have vaccinated over 2,000 young people, you know, in essence, what they're saying is that there were over 2,000 boxes of fried chicken. 2 pieces of fried chicken. They didn't even put a biscuit in it, or ketchup, or a small drink lemonade. They haven't done that. I don't know. I want to deal with my guest first. And then I want to talk about some other things. I don't want to behave like if it's a fish market. It is not a fish market. Straight up is not a fish market. Good evening to you, Dr. Gomes. I'm sorry, Dr. Don Stewart. I don't know where I got Gomes from. I hope your husband isn't watching. I hope your husband isn't watching, but Dr. Stewart, good evening.
Good evening, Mark, my friend.
my
I have said that this is not a fish market, and I want to let our listeners, those who know you and those who are listening on the ground via 107.1 FM, I have Dr. Dawn Stewart, and she has all, all, all the rights and respect for us to address her as doctor, because she went through credible universities.
Yeah, it's George Mason University all the way.
Hey, there goes. I know a couple of people who went there. But here, guess what? We're glad that you've attended universities that are authentic. And so I have no problem addressing you as Dr. Dawn Stewart.
Well,
How have you been? How have you been?
I have been good. I've been really, really good.
Well, you are looking good.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. For a lot of our listeners and viewers, Dr. Dawn Stewart is the co-owner of a funeral home, Likens Funeral Home.
Yes.
We're going to touch on Likens Funeral Home for a moment. I want you to touch on this, Dr. Dawn Stewart. You have traveled the world. You've worked in the Middle East. You've worked along some generals in the Army, in the U.S. Army, and the military here, and so forth. We're not here for that. But I just want to give you your kudos, though. Look at this. 2 pieces of fried chicken. Only in certain communities for the parents to take their kids out to be vaccinated, and they will get 2 pieces of fried chicken. How do you feel when you see these sort of things, Dr. Stewart?
Well, I personally, because of health issues that the world has, fried chicken is not the best thing to offer anyone. I would rather you have some vegetables which are fresh, and we have abundance among the vegetables in Guyana. We should have some vegetables, some fruits, or something of that nature rather than fried fish. I don't want to raise their cholesterol and all the other issues that come with fried foods. So my first connection to that would be the health concerns that I have with fried food.
But and you don't see the kind of racism that is there.
Well, traditionally, fried food like chicken is associated with people of African descent through the lines of poverty, and give them 2 fried chicken. It's culturally has been the mode of operandus, especially here in the United States, now converted to Guyana, as to the way we see people of color.
Exactly. But once I tested this thing and I went to Popeyes when they were this big fried chicken special or whatever, and to my surprise, 90% of the people who were in the line were Caucasian people. Right?
Yeah, Mark, but you have to stigmatize things. You have to make things so people could believe that they're inferior. People could believe that their relationship to obesity is a correlation to certain things. So once you get to feel in those ways and you get to internalize those beliefs, you become that belief system. And that's the goal of many persons, to make sure that they control your belief system.
Let me ask you this, though. And I know you have another engagement, but I'll tie you down for a couple of minutes this evening. Let me ask you this, Dr. Stewart. Let us say that the coalition government was in office still. They should have been in office, mind you. That's a different story. And they were targeting folks to be vaccinated. And let us say they go into Blackbush Polder or maybe Port Morant and offer 2 pieces of fried fish. You think the PPP would have been sitting there and accepting that for their supporters? 2 pieces of fried chicken to be vaccinated, or a cup of dal?
I think that would be an insult to offer persons anything of such nature. Furthermore, I believe that there should be different ways to encourage people to be vaccinated based on the science, based on what we've seen occurring in the death of COVID. We should educate people and give them informed information as to the reason they should be vaccinated. Give them the risks involved of being vaccinated, the risk involved of not being vaccinated.
educate them and encourage them to be vaccinated, not to trick them into vaccination through means of giving me some food, giving me some money, and those types of things. I think, we have to have some ethics in the things that we do throughout the world, especially with the COVID vaccine. COVID-19 is serious and it's wreaking havoc. But there is better ways to be able to educate our persons as to the need to take the vaccination if they so do desire, because I believe you also have a human right to be able to decide what goes into your body. It's just like my pregnancy. I have the right to decide whether I want to be pregnant or not. No one should force me to become pregnant or force me to have an abortion. No one should dictate to me that I must be vaccinated, even though I believe that persons need to be educated and informed of the reason for vaccination and encouraged to ensure their health is paramount in the decision that they make.
That is so true. I'm checking some of the comments, and I am serious about this. This 2 pieces of chicken for vaccination is a racist move. I do believe that it is a racist move because we have oftentimes hear this and the association with fried chicken and black folks. And these folks in the installed regime believe that that's the best way that they can target black folks, persons of African descent, that you announce in communities in close proximity to where black folks are, you announce that you will be having a vaccination drive at a particular time, and you also announce that when you bring your kids to receive the vaccine, you can stop over and collect 2 pieces of chicken. It is an insult. It is a downright insult. It is racist. And if any other government, if the coalition government had done this in the reverse, 2 pieces of fried chicken, catfish chicken, or a cup of dal in Port Moran, Blackbush, wherever, I would have been upset about that, because this is not how you run a government. If they had given, let us say, tablets, like a small tablet or whatever it is, just give a tablet to each child, I would have said good. It's a good incentive. But 2 pieces of damn chicken, man. Look, I'm upset about this chicken stuff. Let's get to your stuff, though. Let's get to your stuff. And mind you, I love chicken. I love fried fish.
Not fried chicken, Mark. You're too young to be eating fried chicken. We got to eat broiled chicken with truffle on it.
And I know some people eat, every time I have a particular friend, every time I speak with him, he smoke herring and all these things. Look, Doc, to each his own. What I put in my body is my, I want chicken.
All right, good.
Doc, on a serious note though, what's happening at your funeral parlor, Likens Funeral Home? It seems to be under threat and being targeted by folks in this installed regime. Before we talk about what's happening now, how long has Likens been in existence?
And in April next year, Lichen would be 100 years old. And Mark, make it note that Lichen is the oldest Black-owned, family-owned company in Guyana. Straight, no breakage. Next year will be 100 years old. And I have some persons researching, because persons tend to tell me it may be one of the oldest Black-owned business in the Caribbean. So we're still trying to research that to find out if indeed it is, because that's significant for Black-owned businesses to be around for such a long period of time through all the trials and tribulations of the Caribbean.
One would get the impression that Black folks never owned anything. You mean 100 years? A perfect example of a togetherness and
for one
ownership.
family. For one family.
One family.
One family, 100 years.
How is the business? And you're in the business now. You guys take care of the dead.
Yeah.
How is that business? Explain
No,
it.
Mark, my background is nursing. My first degree is not registered nurse. So it was a very easy crossover for me when I came to Guyana, and the Ministry of Health told me that I needed to have mortuary science to be able to embalm human remains, or else I couldn't do it. I couldn't be a mortician if I did not have that. And bear that in mind. I could not be a mortician if I did not have proof that I went to mortuary science school. So, having had my PhD and I love school, I went back to school because it only took a year and a half for me to be able to complete mortuary science. And I love school and I love challenges, right? So, in doing so, Gordon already did it, and his brother already was a mortician. Now, my daughter is in the process of graduating from mortuary science, and I don't know why she chose that field, but she chose it. So, she's graduating from mortuary science here at the end of the year. The question remains, though, is the Ministry of Health and the law that covers funeral homes. The law that covers funeral homes have two paragraphs in it. In the 1934 or 1935 Act that governs public health. And it does not, in that particular act, it does not spell out what are the requirements for a funeral home. Not only that, after that act, there has been no policy or nothing that has been gazetted to state exactly what are the perimeters for funeral homes in Guyana. Secondly, there is nobody in Guyana on the Board of Health that is governed by the secretary, who is Miss Juanita Johnson, who makes most of the decision for the Board of Health in reference to mortuary science. There is nobody there that has the knowledge or the formal education to be able to guide their bosses as to what are the requirements for handling human remains or licensure of parlors. You know, I agree that there should be licensing. I agree that there should be policies and rules and all those things. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is uneducated people in mortuary science, i.e., the secretary of the Board of Health that is making decisions with the Board of Health about mortuary science, and they have no knowledge about mortuary science. And I give you an example. In 2019, they sent a letter to me telling me that we must separate decomposed bodies in two separate fridge because it caused cross contamination. Mark, I've been to school, and most people that are doctors, nurses, or anybody that's been to medical school cannot tell me or could not explain to me, I've not been able to find in any medical journal, how do dead people cross-contaminate another dead person. Now, if anybody could find that information for me, I will concede.
Wait a minute, Dr. Stewart. They actually sent a letter to that effect that if you have the dead bodies together, they are going to contaminate each
They're
other.
going to cross-contaminate each other.
Wow, continue.
Mark, when a person dies, they begin decomposition. Decomposition occurs in 5 stages. So it's what stage of decomposition are you telling me that I must separate these bodies, and who is coming to verify this stage of decomposition? And the World Health puts out information on infectious disease and pandemics, etc. And nowhere in the World Health or PAHO directions for the worst case scenarios, which is pandemics and disasters, have said that you need to separate these bodies because there is no cross contamination. The person is dead. So the way they interpreted the Ministry of Health is you got a fresh body and you got a body that's decomposed. There's no such thing as a fresh body and a body that's decomposed in mortuary science. From the time somebody dies, they begin decomposing. And sometimes, depend upon what their medical condition is, like if they have bed stores and things like that, that part of the body is already beginning to decompose and break down, right? So by the time they die and they come to the mortuary, they're in decomposition state. So it's, for me, that is the argument. The argument is, and the next argument is the odor that comes from the decomposed bodies. And mind you, Mark, our funeral home was the only funeral home that accepted decomposed bodies over the years, right? Then all of a sudden, everybody got smart that didn't go to mortuary science school and thought they look after decomposed bodies, right? So at any period of time, we would have approximately 2 or 3 decomposed bodies in our refrigerator. So therefore, decomposed bodies have a tremendous pungent odor. The Ministry of Health, Secretary of the Board of Health, Ms. Johnson, sends me a letter telling me that the odor, and I repeat, the odor from the human remains causes brain damage to people working around it. So something tell me, go Google this, because I want to know where you got this information from. I Googled it exactly verbatim, and I can publish that letter verbatim that they sent me, and found it was a cut and paste from the internet from a company in the United States, in Washington, D.C. to be exact, that is selling cleaning services for people that die in the homes of people in the United States. And at the bottom of the information has a disclaimer that says that they are not morticians, they offer a service. And this information is not medically proven correctly. And on the letterhead of the Ministry of Health, they sent me those letters. Those are the things that's wrong. And they have not. And how you going to license me for something that you don't even know what to license me for? And there is no law that talks about licensure. There's no procedure for licensure. For example, in order for the United States, and I've worked in many organizations before, we have a system in place that tells you, OSHA Occupational Health, if you want to pass and get accredited, these are the things you must have. And these are the things you have to do. And it's in accordance with the law, CFR 29 or whatever the law is. But it's in accordance with something that is scientifically based. It's not in accordance with Ms. Johnson or somebody else come up with an idea that, look, you got to put a body bag, or you got to do this, or you got to do. Every time they will change the playing scheme, depend upon who they want out of business, or who they don't like, or who thinks they're brighter than them. Whatever the reason is, they will change that playing field, because there's no written document that has been gazetted that has a way of saying this is what is need to be done. Thirdly,
before you get to thirdly, stick a pin. I just want our listeners to know how important this discussion is. Dr. Don Stewart, co-owner of Likens Funeral Parlor, that has been in existence for over 100. In fact, they will celebrate their 100 years in business. The installed PPP regime wants to kick them out of business. That is exactly what they are doing. And Ms. Dawn Stewart is saying, and we kind of agree with her, that folks are incompetent who are making these decisions. She was just about to make the third point, but I just thought I stopped to remind you guys that tonight we're dealing with dead bodies. Go ahead, continue, Ms. Stewart, Dawn Stewart.
The third point is that when you have dead bodies, the odor from the decomposed body does not pose a threat to anybody's health. In the newspaper, it wrote that it's a public health hazard. A public health hazard. I don't understand. I don't know if people don't know what a public health hazard is, but let me remind you. A public health hazard are chemical, physical, and biological factors in our environment that can cause a negative impact on our short and long-term health. Exposures can occur through inhalation or ingestion. Understanding the risk of public health can be taken in many different ways. So when people talk about public health risk, first they must understand what it means for a public health risk. And the World Health has stated that funeral homes don't pose a public health risk unless there's an epidemic or a pandemic, right? And you have many persons being exposed. And the first line of the persons that be exposed is the persons that have the first touch with the dead person. That means that the hospital and the doctors, and then from there on in it goes down, so that it would start. So if you're saying that, then the mortuary of the hospital have some serious problems. The mortuary of the hospital would have some serious problems at that mortuary facility.
So specifically, the folks in the PPP wrote to you guys at Likens Funeral Home, and we have seen the news. We watched it. Lots of people are saying it's racial discrimination, and rightly so, because there's no other funeral home that is as equipped as Likens Funeral Home. And I'm not being biased against the others. I know some of the others, but you guys have been very professional. I haven't heard any complaints at all. But one of the reasons has to do with the fact that you guys control all of the persons who die, that the police take the dead bodies to Likens Funeral Home. And you do believe that that is the contract they want to take away. The PPP wants to take away from you guys and hand it to one of their friends and cronies.
Well, actually, that's the contract that the Board of Health, under the signature of the Secretary of Board of Health, Ms. Juanita Johnson, Mark, the Central Board of Health did not inform us in writing prior to informing the police department that we no longer have a contract. We are not licensed, right? They informed the police that we're not licensed. The police, in turn, put it in the newspaper, right? That's how I knew about it. That's how we knew about it, right? Ms. Johnson does not know mortuary science, and I have no regrets in saying that. She's not educated in mortuary science. That is the same ministry that said to me, I needed to be educated in mortuary science in order to do mortuary science. Last couple weeks ago, the newspaper posted funeral homes that have license, right? Every funeral home have a license. And the reason why she's saying that I don't have a license is because I don't have a second refrigerator for decomposed bodies. But there's only 2 parlors that have a refrigerator for decomposed body. So my question remains, what is it? When I talked to the minister and I said, look, this is not about the fridge for decomposed body. He said, no, man, it's about the fridge. I said, they will have some other, I've been through this over and over with this, Miss Johnson. They will have another roadblock. They'll have another roadblock until the contract is removed from Likens. They will have continuous roadblocks until that happens, right? And so therefore, in the newspaper on Friday is printed. And if you're saying to me, the reason that I don't have a license is because I don't have a second refrigerator, how come these other places have a license and Likens don't? Because there's only 2 funeral parlors that have refrigerators. So I still want to know, why is it that you're telling me I'm not licensed, and what is the procedure for licensure? What are the factual, scientifically based procedures for licensure under the Mortuary Science, American Mortuary Science Association, which we belong to? Then nobody, the World Health, PAHO, nobody lists these things that they are talking about. Mark, they go from one extreme to the next. and I can furnish anyone that want to see the letters that they send me with the requirements. And they go, well, I don't want to obey. There's nothing to obey, because the things that they come up with are not prudent facts that are necessary for funeral homes. They come up with whatever they want to come up with, and they tell you. And Miss Johnson, as I said, is the secretary of the Central Board of Health. She directs
So she's not a mortician. She doesn't have a degree in this area.
She's not a mortician.
What is her profession?
I don't know what's her profession. I personally don't
know.
So
she's talking about the decomposition of bodies, that it shouldn't be stored together because it will contaminate each other and all these things. Is she talking because of has she listed the 4 stages of decomposition?
I don't even know that decomposition is more than 1 stage.
Self-digestion, rigor mortis, and these sort of things.
I don't even know if they realize that it's different stages. And from the time you die, I keep saying to them, and I wrote several letters, decomposition begins. So is somebody going to come and check and see when this body is decomposed? And the most amazing and confounding ignorance that I ever seen was odors causing brain damage. I have never heard that in all my life of going through medical training and nursing.
You mean odor coming from the deceased?
Odor coming from the dead bodies.
Wow. Well, then a lot of people would be contaminated in Parliament.
We have done many, since we've been in business, we have never had an incident where someone is ill, someone died, or some catastrophe. We did Jim Jones, we did Bartica, we did Lusignan. We could name a few. We did the uprising. You could name all the. And we've handled many dead bodies in conditions that no one else in Guyana have handled.
You know, the truth is, and we all know what the truth is. The truth is basically they want you guys out of business because you're Black owned. That is the truth. Or maybe they perceive you guys not to be PPP friendly, and therefore they will find all sort of excuses in order to get you guys out of business. It is a racist move. That is the agenda of the PPP regime. That is what they are about, racism. I don't know if you want to make another point quickly before I get 2 or 3 other questions for you. You were making a point?
Most important thing is refrigeration don't stop decomposition. The only thing that stops decomposition is embalming. And if a body is decomposed, they're going to have a terrible odor, and the fridge is going to have the odor of the human remains. Like you pass a horse on the road when the horse dead and stay there for a couple of days, you just can't stand it. Well, just multiply it by 20 folds, and nobody gets a brain damage from it. No one.
No, it is the first time that I'm hearing this sort of thing. Maybe they're talking about some sort of famine years ago. There was this myth about that. You know, but
the Ministry of Health came to me stating that
nothing has been proven.
And it's a public health hazard. I don't understand how it could be a public health hazard. But my most perplexing thing is when I build a second refrigerator, what is going to stop that odor? Because the odor is not going to stop for the decomposed bodies. We still will have that odor from decomposed bodies. And that's one of the reasons why the hospital mortuary no longer PMs decomposed body. They send it over to Memorial.
You want to just make sure that our listeners, some of them who don't know what PM means, postmortem, they might think you're talking about Mark Phillips, Prime Minister.
No, I'm sorry, not at all. Yeah. It means postmortem. Now all the postmortems are done at Memorial, and the reason being is so complex, and there are so many things that's wrong, and mostly the Board of Health needs to really look at who is on the Board of Health, what is the role of Ms. Johnson, and how they have these square pegs and round holes, making decisions, informing their bosses, and the boss believing it and repeating it.
How many members are on the Board of Health that advise these PACUs, so to speak?
You know what? I don't know how many members are on the Board of Health, but I do know that there's not a mortician on the Board of Health. And I do know there's no one that has studied mortuary science on the Board of Health.
Wow, interesting. Dr. Don Stewart is with us, co-owner of Lykin's Funeral Home. They've been around for as old as I am. They will be celebrating 100 years in the business. 100 years. But the PPP regime wants to kick them out of business, want to kick you guys completely. They want to kill your dead business. That is what they wanted.
Kill my dead business.
Yeah.
I like that. Kill a dead
Let me ask you this now. We get to this pandemic situation. And I know there are different ways and means in treating persons who have died as a result, as we hear, as a result of COVID-19. How do you guys treat COVID-19 then compared to regular death?
That's another gimmick, because for the pandemic, there's specific ways in which, just like somebody with hepatitis, cholera, etc., there's specific guidelines that we have from the World of Health. And when you went to school, they teach you what do you do in handling infectious disease. There's specific protocols out to the World Health for handling COVID deaths, right? One of them is that we don't embalm them in the same way that we do with bodies that are not COVID, and we don't expose them to the persons that's working. We use protective gear, including masks and gowns up, and we try not to do as much touching as you would do with the normal bodies, but you use your protective gear and your time limited, because remember, hazards are weighted on time limited of 8 hours to be exposed, right? So you have to be on the way they measure exposure for any type of hazard is on a 8-hour time weighted average, right? It's not on a 1 minute or a 2 minute, it's an 8-hour. So there are precautions that you do so you can make sure that it lessens your exposure. You don't have any exposure to whatever that disease is. And once the World Health puts it out in specific diseases such like COVID-19, which they did, but any funeral home should, as long as they know those procedures, understand it, and trained in mortuary science, could handle COVID, hepatitis, cholera, without danger to themselves once they use the particular protocol that is in place to handling these kinds of infectious disease bodies.
Well said, Dr. Don Stewart. I don't know who owns Memorial. Do you know who owns Memorial?
I think it's one Dr. Nemartali. To the best of my knowledge, I could be wrong.
Okay, wasn't he once a pathologist? Isn't he a pathologist?
No, he's not a pathologist. Only two pathologists we have currently in Guyana is Dr. Singh and Dr. Bridgmahan. To my knowledge, I don't think we have any more pathologists.
Wow, that is actually and those pathologists work with the government. There's no independent pathologists, none whatsoever.
Not to my knowledge, because they've had persons that would ask, they want an independent pathologist to do their autopsy.
They will have to go outside of Guyana.
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge. I thought they had some Cubans for a while, but I'm not so sure about, but I know for sure Dr. Bridgmahan and Dr. Singh.
Yeah, Dr. Singh and Dr. Bridgmohan, they both work for the government, and
yes,
and it is difficult to get. And this is not to knock their reputations, mind you. I have been in rooms where they performed autopsy on numerous occasions, so I had firsthand look as to how it's done. So this is not to knock their credibility, but it sometimes becomes questionable when you do not have an independent pathologist on important cases.
That's
to report. True. Yeah. So now that the PPP regime wants you guys out of business, they are forcing you guys out of business. They are strangulating you guys from an economic standpoint so that you can die. You can slowly die. Where do you guys go from here?
Mark, I believe in professionalism. I believe in continuing doing the work that we do for the people. The businesses in Guyana rely on people. The people of Guyana, especially people of African descent, must understand that there is a need for them to support businesses that look like them as well, right? As well, right? So therefore, people come to me and all the time and they say, Dr. Stewart, can you give me a donation to do this? Can you do this? Can you help us here? Can you help us there? But the issue is, if you don't invest in something, how do you get returns out of it, right? So there is a need for persons to understand where they need to invest. And I've always said that, and I say it here in America with no fear, you have to buy from your own. If you don't buy from your own, you can't go to your own for money. They don't have. They don't have. So you can't go to them because you're not making them economically viable. So therefore, it's difficult for them to be able to give to the community. We have always given to the community, and we will continue to give to the community, and we will continue to find ways to be successful because we are a good business. We are professional, and we don't have no public health hazards. We just don't have any public health hazards. And therefore, I am not worried about it because I know in time, and if the courts are independent, the courts will definitely rule in the correct manner.
I noticed some people are, because this is probably the first show, people don't usually talk about funeral homes. They don't talk about the dead, even though they talk about a lot of those folks who sit in Parliament. It's kind of like talking about a funeral home too, right? With some of them, this is not knocking all of them, but this is a shame and a disgrace that the PPP regime is targeting certain businesses. We know who those business people are. They look like Don Stewart. They look like Dr. Don Stewart. Look at all the people that they are persecuting. They look like Dr. Don Stewart for the most part. And read between the lines. Sometimes we don't even have to be so secretive about that. The regime is targeting persons of African descent. And now when Dr. Stewart says that to support your own, we all do know what she means by that. But I can also add a little to that, that I support those who respect me, those who respect my dollar, those who respect people who look like me. And so there are folks who may be of a different ethnic persuasion that respect me, respect my people, respect my community. I see absolutely nothing wrong with spending $1 with people from a different ethnicity as long as they respect me, respect my people, and don't denigrate us. And I know that to some extent that is what you are saying as well. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, exactly,
yeah.
Mark.
Yeah.
When I'm in the US, I say, if I'm going to go into a store and you're going to walk behind me, I don't care who it is, I'm not spending my money there. If you're not treating me the way I deserve to be treated, I'm not spending my money there. If you're within my community, I want you to support my community as well as I would support your business, regardless of who it is. I mean, we have to be able to support the businesses within our community because they support us within that community. It's important for persons to understand. Don't look at a funeral home and look on the outside of it. There's a lot of tricks in the funeral business now, Mark. There are touts, there are everybody that look like they own.
Oh, man.
But behind there is somebody. Mark, the stores here on Flatbush, for example. All those buildings are owned by Jewish people, but they have a different set of people acting like they own the stores. And therefore, you get confused and you get treated badly. You get treated badly when you walk into the stores and they watch you and they walk behind you, or any type of business you go in there, you're not treated right. And you still go back and you keep spending your money there. You keep spending your money there. We have to take stock of what we're doing and how we're spending our money, how we're maintaining ourselves, all of us together, and be able to adamantly not accept less for ourselves.
I want to make this point. I've noticed a comment here. Naomi Drucker. She says, Mark, you always try to be politically correct. That's not true. People who know me know that I'm not always politically correct. I say it like it is. That is why this show is called Straight Up. And now let me finish here. She says, Mark, you always try to be politically correct. In other words, she's saying, Mark, shut your damn mouth. Stop being politically correct. Then she continues. She say by black owned, period. The other race look after themselves. All right, I got your point, Miss Drucker, and I'm not angry at you. I'm not upset at you, but I know folks of other ethnic groups who have gone through a heck of a lot under this regime, and I would go and I would support them. I would, if I am in Bat Settlement or Bushlat traveling along that line, and I want to stop at the Aziz Butcher Shop and support them, I will stop and support them, if you know what I mean, because they've gone through a lot. They've had their businesses burnt down, their lives threatened by PPP thugs. And so I will spend I see no reason why I shouldn't spend my money by them. They have some people, Naomi, I want you to listen to this, my friend. They have some people who may look like Don Stewart, Dr. Don Stewart. They may look like me. They may look like you. You think it's easy? You think if they don't support your cause and they're joining up with oppressors, would you feel comfortable going and support that person's business? I don't know. But we don't want to stray from the topic. But I get your point, Naomi Drucker. I got your point. All right? Doc, before we go, I know they're trying to kill the business. What are you doing? You didn't tell us this memorial is owned by Nermat Ali or whoever. Obviously, not because of the name, but I think I've heard that he is pro PPP. So what the PPP has done is took the business away from you guys in terms of the police business and so forth, and handed everything to their supporter, Nermat Ali, memorial, funeral, whatever. I don't know what it is. It's probably just started. But I'm sure, do they have morticians there? Nermat Ali is not known for that.
Mark, there's only 3 morticians that are trained, college trained, university trained, to my knowledge, in Guyana. Well, 3.5, because my daughter is in school now, right? Myself, Gordon, and Merriman. That's the only 3. And currently, Merriman is estranged from the funeral parlor, so he's independent. He's independently doing embalming and stuff like that. But he did go to school for mortuary science. So he is a mortician. You know, in the United States, we don't license funeral homes. In most of the world, Trinidad, everywhere else, we license morticians because morticians is the one that go to school and learn mortuary science. And every funeral home must have a mortician, and you can't import a mortician and bring them there. The mortician has to be there 24 hours, because anytime a dead person comes in, the mortician has to certify things about the condition of the body, etc., in their log, right? So you just can't say, well, okay, just bring in somebody from outside when you got to export a body. All those things are things that are not prudent in mortuary science, and in the mortuary science school that I know of, and most professional affiliations, that's not how we operate. We operate with procedures, and we operate with, and I do agree, when I first came to Guyana, I sat with Leslie Ramsamy and talked about this, the act, the Public Health Act, that did not address funeral homes. And in the process of trying to get that act improved and gazetted, but it has not been done. So therefore, you cannot make these rules without having it gazetted in a proper way, and every funeral parlor knows. The reason why the funeral parlors probably don't say anything is because they know they don't know mortuary science, and they know they're at the hands of the Board of Health. They're at the hands of the Board of Health. In fact, some of them have said to me, Miss Don, me able to fight with them people that can prosecute me. Me ain't doing nothing. Me ain't got nothing to say. I gonna shut me mouth and let them do whatever they want to do. But that is wrong, because they will continue to make some futile mistakes. And if we are a growing nation, we should be heading for better standards and better educated persons directing their bosses as to what to do.
Exactly. 56 minutes after 9 o'clock, you guys have gone through some things apart from this main stuff that the PPP is spiting your business. 100 years old, soon to be. Likens Funeral Parlor has done a lot of good things for lots of people. I know that firsthand. There's so many persons, people who could not afford to bury their loved ones. I called your funeral parlor. I called you. I called your husband. I went over. We sat. We spoke. And you are always there, always ready to lend a helping hand, to give a big discount, whatever. I just want to publicly thank you because there's so many persons that I've recommended through your funeral parlor, not as a tout, but as a friend, right? And I really do mean it, that you have helped a lot of people, including me too, personally. I picked up, and I'm not ashamed, I picked up and I called, I said, my sister died. She wants a good casket. This was a couple of years ago. She wants a good casket. Give me a good price. And you did. Thank you so much. You've helped so many people. You guys are professional. Gordon is a professional. Don Stewart, Dr. Don Stewart is a professional. They're not cheaters. They're not robbers. They're respectable business people in that community. That parlor has been around approaching 100 years now. And the only reason that the PPP installed regime is targeting this company, it is because they're Black owned, story done. And they want to give it to somebody that owns some memorial parlor, whatever, that just started because it is connected to them, the PPP. That is what it is about. I have never seen people handle deaf people with so much respect and dignity and professionalism as the folks at Likens Funeral Parlor. Thank you for your 100 years of service to that country. Thank you for 100 years of service to the community. And thank you for all the good works that you guys have done. A lot of those good works have not been published. I have just mentioned a few. You've always been there, Dr. Don Stewart. Before we go, lots
Mark?
of people, some people, go ahead.
We will continue to do our best. We'll continue to serve our people, all people, anyone. We have people come to me with some situations. We will continue to do our best. Like in funeral home is not a public hazard, and there is nothing wrong with our funeral home. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And I can go to many other funeral homes. There is absolutely nothing. We're not 100% perfect, but I guarantee you that if we have an independent inspection of anybody, we will pass in flying colors.
And you guys will surely do that. One of the things, though, and I have said to some friends of mine when I visit the Georgetown Public Hospital for various reasons, especially those years when they had 4 or 5 persons or 2, 3 persons sleeping on a bed and all these things, to video it, I would see the touts at the mortuary there at Georgetown Public Hospital, and how they operate. I went on my knees one day and I said, please, Lord, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
Those guys, even though they're trying to make $1,
They're vicious.
Guyana has touts. As soon as somebody is dead at the Georgetown Public Hospital or wherever in Guyana, touts are there. Funeral parlor touts. One day I saw one of them pulling a dead man. The dead man said, well, y'all and done y'all stupidness. Right? I mean, it's not funny, but touts for funeral parlors. Your closing remarks. But before your closing remarks, let me say that they snatched your payroll the other day. Likens payroll the other day, man. They caught the suspect?
No, not as yet. The police still looking for them, but they had a robbery of gold and diamonds and everything else. About a couple weeks later, they was able to apprehend everybody. So I'm wondering what is the hold up here, But God is a good God, and my ancestors are watching over me. They didn't fight for not reasoning. They have a fight and they're watching over me. They're protecting us and they're gonna see us through. My ancestors walked the grounds that we are in. They built that parlor and they're watching, and their spirits are moving around. So I have confidence that we'll be fine. Next year we'll celebrate 100 years, and Lycan will continue on. I say to the people of Guyana, my people, continue to support us, and we will support you.
Like it or not, and to the Jagdev and Irfan and Juanita Johnson, that individual who is not really a professional, and others, like it or not, Lycans is here to stay. That is a free ad I just give you. Like it or not, Lycans is here to stay. Thanks again for all that you guys do. And thanks for looking out for your community. Thanks for looking out for your people, all of your people. Give my regards to Gordon.
I will.
And I know I'll tell our listeners that I promised you that this interview will take only 15 minutes.
No, I promise you that too, so I can go on to my other stuff. But I'll forgive you.
Thank you so much. And congrats. Tell your daughter I say congratulations to her. She's soon to be graduating.
Soon be finished that part of her journey.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Don Stewart. God bless you.
Blessings, Mark. Blessings, Mark. Yeah. Thank you.
Indeed. All right, Dr. Don Stewart, dear, co-owner of Lycan's Funeral Parlor. You guys heard what is happening. And that's not the end of it. The PPP regime is targeting Black businesses. Look at who they're persecuting. Mostly Black folks, charging them with all sorts of frivolous charges, from electoral fraud, from lands, and all these different things. I can name them: Trevor Ben, Mingo, Lowenfield, Roxanne Myers, you name it. Lots and lots of people. Carol Joseph and others, scores of people, Valda Lawrence, you name it. James Bond, lots of people. Look at the names they're targeting, they're persecuting these individuals. Albeit James Bond seems to believe that he's on the right path by reminding us who his friends are. But James, word of advice for you. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by who your friends are sometimes. There is a song by a Guyanese something, because when time comes, there is this song that I'll remind you about. Where are your friends now? Have they gone away? You guys know I don't do karaoke. In terms, I don't sing at karaoke. Before I go, though, I heard that the Foreign Service officers, a heck of a lot of them will be sent home, or will be going through a rotation process. I'll be watching that. I will be watching that. 3 senior officers of the Guyana Embassy in Washington, D.C., they have already been sent packing. They have already been sent packing. I don't know, but I'll be watching that closely. And there's a reason why I'll be watching that. 180 something Foreign Service officers they have. 180 something. I'll talk more about that tomorrow evening. Lots more about that tomorrow evening. Freddie Kissoon, if you're watching, I know you oftentimes watch, but Freddie writes to say that people send him stuff. But I have a strong feeling that Freddie has a Facebook account and Freddie watches these programs. So if you're watching, Freddie, good evening. Don't say somebody sent you this and somebody sent you that. Because in order to watch it, you have to have a Facebook access to a Facebook account. So I know you're watching it. And Freddie in his article said something to the effect that people are always accusing Indians of taking money because of his utterances and his writings. People say, or Adam Harris accused him of being paid by the PPP. And that is an insult to Indians, that people are doing it to him. They did it to Charan Das. They're rightly so doing it to Charan Das. And they are rightly so are questioning Freddie's antics and his writings and so forth these days, which doesn't add up to the old Freddie that we know. And so I will be talking more about that, but I just thought that I let you guys know that I suspect that Freddie Kissoon has a Facebook account under some name. He does have a Facebook account. I'll have my Detective Lemon trace that account as early as possible. But we've got to go. I will be back tomorrow, same place, same time. Oops, there we go. Fried chicken. Fried chicken. Don't sell your souls for 2 pieces of fried chicken. Do not do it. If you have to have your kids vaccinated, take your kids to be vaccinated. That is, if you want them to be vaccinated. Nothing is wrong with that. But if you also decide that you don't want to be part of the vaccination, look, that is your right. I can't tell people what to do from what not to do. I have taken the vaccine. I am satisfied with the vaccine. Look, I'm normal, right? I am satisfied with the vaccine. And I took the Moderna. My opinion is, I'm not a medical practitioner or whatever, but my opinion is if it saves lives, then take the vaccines, those that are WHO approved. But if you don't want to, that's your prerogative. That's your right not to want to. All right? So I'm not going to force. But the point is, don't reduce yourself to insults. Do not do it. Do not take your kids to be vaccinated only because the PPP regime is offering 2 pieces of chicken. 2 pieces of chicken. Look at that. 2 pieces of chicken. And then the parents take them, and when they're done now, little Quasi just got his vaccination. The parents say, Quasi, go over and take those 2 pieces of chicken. You see? You get chicken. What do you think that is doing to Quasi? Or others who look like Quasi? What do you think that is doing to Quasi and his mindset? It is that he believes that things come cheap in life. You sell your soul for 2 pieces of chicken. 2 pieces of chicken. Quasi is selling his soul for 2 goddamn pieces of chicken. Yes, I'm pissed off about it. Parents, do not insult yourselves. Do not insult your children. Do not do that at all for 2 goddamn pieces of chicken. Let's close with this video.
Making the short video for send to you and the viewers and listeners. I'll know we punishing in Guyana. Punishing. Rice gone up, sugar gone up, flour gone up, cost of living just gone up, gas gone up from 3,400 to 3,800. Real hungry days under this installed PPP government. Real hungry days we gone back to. Guyanese? Oh! Real hungry days. Real hungry days.
All right. Hey, before I go, I want to let you guys know that from tomorrow evening, you share the link. If you share the link wide and far, you will win yourself 2 pieces of chicken. Share the link and you will win yourselves 2 pieces of chicken. If the PPP can do that to you guys and you guys feel it is comfortable, I might as well try a thing too. So share the link tomorrow, or if you go right now on my YouTube channel, straight up on the YouTube channel, click on the subscribe button. Urge your friends and your relatives to click on the subscribe button. I can see all of you who click on the subscribe button, and guess what you'll get? Let's look at that. 2 pieces of fried chicken. 2 pieces of fried chicken. Click on the subscribe, my YouTube channel right now. But all fun and joke aside, what the PPP has done to these folks is a shame and a disgrace. For now, my name is Mark Benschop. I'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time. Dr. Don Stewart, thank you so much for your time. And to all of you beautiful, lovely people out there, thank you all for tuning in. Every single one of you. I see you. I see all of you. Yasmin, how are you doing? Good evening. Ingrid, stop it. Get your mind off of the chicken. Who is it? Jacqueline Adams, all of you, get your minds off of the chicken. All right? Yummy. That's why the PPP caught y'all. Y'all don't get caught up with them PPP, you know. They sit down and know what to do and what to say to attract certain people. That is why they use the chicken. They're going to go to Linden with the chicken next. Then they're going to go to Alnis. So J.R. Crawford, you watch out. You guys watch out. Philippi, they're going with a chicken. They're going with a chicken. I don't know, the chicken on my mind, man. I'm pissed off about the chicken. Honestly. I've got to go, though. See you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time. Give me that kiss. Mwah. Not the guys. Not you guys. I know they got some guys every night. I say, give me that kiss to push the face all up on the screen. Hey, man, come on. God bless you all. See you.
It's hard to be at peace with the ones who are so discard. It's hard. Them have a knife in your back and them smile it so broad. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd are shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. God, the booby traps with them set is real. I never want to take your glory, Lord. Send your angels to encamp around about me and stand guard. To envy is so easy and to love it is so hard. Let me work for your glory and not for the award. Don't make me ever get caught up in the scream and the applause. And go talk about the blessing and not talk about the Lord. All these things are vanity. I need your reward. Let me be real. Don't put on no facade. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them give me flesh when the crowd are shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. God, the booby traps with them set is real. Sticks and stones can break my bones and words can harm me. They can harm me. When the evil come against me, you'll protect me. You'll protect me. Father, I need the strength of your son. Cause you know my work is not done. Lord, I need that endurance just to finish this race that I run. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. And help me to deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd are shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. God, the booby traps with them set is real. You tell me if you stand firm, cause every little plan you have a confirm. I know them evil plan turn. In a darkness, me a the lantern. So help me if you deal with the ones that who said them love me when them really don't. Jesus, help me if you deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd are shout. Help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. God, the booby traps with them set is real. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd are shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. God, the booby traps with them set is real. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them kill me.